What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why I am going to watch Scream 6. So this is somewhat of a preview series. I do this a lot with games. I talk about why I'm going to do something or I am not going to do something. So buy a game, not buy a game, watch a movie, not watch a movie. This is just a chance to kind of summarize a lot of how I feel about Scream 6 before we're about to go in. Very excited to make this kind of video that I do quite often for games before Scream 6. I'm pumped. I'm seriously pumped. Here's the thing. I feel way more excited for Scream 6 than I did for Scream 5. But what's odd is I think it's a different kind of feeling. I think kind of like almost more low key, where it's not bubbling up. I'm not pacing back and forth every day. I would say last year for Scream 5, I was beyond excited, but I kind of like showed it. I'm very animated just in general. I was very animated about it, and even like my day-to-day life away from videos, I was super pumped. I think I'm a lot more calm about this one, but I think I'm way more excited. I've been saying it for a while. In fact, a lot of people have been saying it for a while, and it's just kind of crazy that it's actually looking like it could happen. Where we've been saying, hey, Scream 6 has a really good shot at being wildly better than Scream 5. Not saying 5 was bad, because I actually quite like it. I just watched it again last month for the 1-year anniversary. I like that film a lot. I love Scream, the franchise, to death. I don't think there is a bad film in that franchise. But I don't think it takes too much from Scream 6 to actually make it better than 5, which maybe makes it sound like you're dogpiling 5, but it is what it is. And then as it turns out, as we've seen these TV spots, as we've seen these trailers, the movie looks phenomenal. It looks different. So if you're like a new person, you're saying, what is this guy babbling on about? I actually think one of the main strengths of Scream 6 is it is going to appeal to one of the largest audiences that you can appeal to that the other movies really haven't. I think this one is going to stretch its legs, not just because, well, you got the horror genre, right? And that's quite big, and there's always going to be that die-hard, fan base. So you'll always have that. You have the slasher, the whodunit kind of elements to it. You got Ghostface, you got the icons, right? But you also are now putting it in New York. And not just, you can do that. You can put a film in a different location, and it's going to make it feel a little bit different, but is it going to massively help it? Well, as of right now, it does feel different. It looks different. You watch the trailer, you watch the TV spots. I dare you, go back and watch the trailers and TV spots for 5, and you tell me that this movie just looks like a generic 6th film in a franchise. See, that's what I honestly think makes this one so special without it even being out yet. I don't follow too many other horror, movies. I'm more of like a gaming-sided person, but I don't know how many film franchises in the horror genre make it to 5s and 6s and all that stuff, keeping the quality rather high. You look to the others of Halloween and Friday and Nightmare on Elm Street, all this stuff, and normally they tend to fall completely apart. And also, when you do like the New York thing, you put them in a different setting, half the time it just ends up completely failing. It's like a joke to a lot of people, right? I really don't think this one is. I think the idea of like Ghostface takes Manhattan, I think it's memeable. I think it's something that you can joke about. But then you watch the trailers and stuff and you say, no, honestly, factually, the movie looks different. The movie looks good. It seems like it's going to have that tension. The kills seem like they're going to be quite cool. It's kept the mystery. Yes, there's the leaks online and all that stuff. But if you haven't seen it, like I haven't, they've done a spectacular job of really hiding. I felt like I knew so much about 5, and I've been saying this for a while. I felt I knew so much about 5 going in. And that really did, in a way, hurt it. I was still so, more excited than I could ever imagine I would be, but I was expecting certain things to happen. Now, yes, when I go in to see this movie, I'm going to be expecting, oh, okay, I can't wait for the ladder scene. I can't wait for the shrine. I can't wait for this or that, the opening. But you also don't know a lot of things. I truly don't know who's Ghostface. I don't know some of these toss-up characters of death. Even Tara, right? This girl right next to me here. What's going to happen? Is she going to die? Honestly, it's a coin flip. Kirby, Gale, all these characters. It's got... to say like it's got real stakes, it's hard to actually say that without the movie being out, but like it feels impactful in a way that 5 leading into 5 just flat out didn't. You also do have this girl, Tara, Jenna Ortega being the actress. I mentioned something that's a little bit different about this film. Well, you got a rising star in this one that really you didn't have. I mean, Jenna was also in 5, I suppose, but you had Wednesday and you just had her kind of blowing up. Does that help the movie in any way? Does that help the box office? I've been kind of going back and forth with it. I think it could help just a little, but I don't think she's going to bring in like 30, 40, 50 million more dollars than what this movie would have made. I think most of the movie rests on the movie being good or bad, right? But I do think Jenna will help. So it's got that too. And it's also got a chance to do something different. Again, when you get to the 6th film in a franchise, even any franchise, right? My favorite franchise of all time, Pirates of the Caribbean. Boy, did they start to have some troubles really after the trilogy, right? I think you can do a really good trilogy. I think you can kind of have a beginning, middle, end in your head as a director, producer, all this stuff. And then once you want to keep it going after that, it's a lot harder. Now, lucky for them, this is a continuation of a sort, right? You had the OGs. Now, you don't have Sydney in this one, which does sting. Definitely sucks, and I would have liked to see her be in this because who knows, this could be one of the better ones. And to not have Sydney in it definitely sucks. But you have that continuity. You know to expect things, right? A Scream movie without certain elements, and that's the tough thing with any of these films, but also a film like this where they've been very open with taking chances, doing some things that are very different. Right? They've said these things, right? This is going to kind of push things. Well, at the same time, and I'm fine with that, okay? Please do that. If that means more than 2 killers, if that means a killer escapes, if that means Sam could still be a killer for 7, these kind of odd things you can do that can really spice up a movie and make it very, very different than the past ones. I beg you, please do them. But at the same time, there is still a formula, just like Randy says. There's still a formula. There's still some things that have to be done. Otherwise, and I'm a pretty big stickler to this, it's not a Scream movie, right? Like, if you don't have certain things in it, I mean, you have Ghostface, so does that make it a Scream movie automatically? But you know what I mean? If you radically change it too much, well, suddenly it's really not a Scream movie. I want them to be bold and to make their own kind of creative decisions, but it still needs to feel like it's part of the franchise. But, I mean, going back to the positives, that's what this movie feels like. Again, you watch the trailers or any of that stuff, even for 4, go back to 4, watch that stuff. This one just looks different. But at the same time, chase scenes and deaths and creative deaths and Roger L. Jackson's voice and the whodunit element, right? Red herrings. Like, there's going to be things that we're quite familiar with and we're going to be able to sniff out and kind of figure out, which is cool. But then they're also going to maybe change some things up. The biggest thing that I just hope that this movie does not do, and I've actually mentioned this here and there in other videos, don't copy too much from 2. If you end up killing Mindy, the Randy character, you're kind of copying 2. Now, doing one of these things isn't the worst thing in the world. I'm saying if all of it, if Scream 6 is just Scream 2, that's where the issue is. If you do that, if you give another Dewey fake out death, only this time to Chad, if you start to rack up these similarities, if one of the killers is a Debbie Salt, right? So she's on screen 3 times and you barely see her, and that's on purpose. They're doing that for a reason, right? If that's exactly what they're doing here, the killer is only in a couple scenes. There's one that's kind of there, like the Mickey-like character, but then the other one, maybe the mastermind, is more behind the scenes. You don't really see. If these things start to add up, then you are just copying 2, and then you really are just doing Ghostface in Manhattan. You're just kind of changing that tagline, and that's it. Now, that's where I would say the big weakness could occur for this film. But beyond that happening, which is a real possibility, I definitely don't want to throw it out or pretend like it's not possible, because, boy, it's possible. Killing Gale is another one that could make me extremely, extremely mad, really in any way. I've always been somewhat open to the idea if you wanted to do it, but it's got to be done just perfectly. But at the same time, I'm also kind of in the boat where it's like, no, please don't. I mean, ultimately, there's maybe a circumstance where I will accept it, but most of it, I just don't want you to kill off Gale. Unless Courtney Cox explicitly went to you and told you, I want Gale to die in this film. If she did that, fine. If she didn't do that, I don't want her dead. Beyond those 2 things, and maybe I could come up with more if I keep thinking, but no, I mean, honestly, I'm so excited. I'm so ready for this film to come out, and I hope we're able to do it at least one more time in the near future, right? Scream 7 within the next year or 2, then maybe you take a long break. I don't think Scream's gone even after Scream 7, but that's way too far into the future. So let me know what you guys think. Are you excited? Are you seeing it? Are you waiting maybe for a few weeks to see what others think? Let me know. Make sure you're all subscribed, bell icon turned on. Check out my other channels, our Discord server. All that stuff is in the description below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.